What's up, degenerates? We're going to be looking at meme stocks today, or should I say stonks. If you missed out on this original GameStop squeeze way back in January of 2021, fear not, I'm going to give you the play here today, which I think you can make 100, even potentially 1,000 times your money, just depending on what type of contract that you're playing in the market. Same thing with AMC. If you missed out not only on the original GameStop squeeze, but AMC was actually the second leader in the second squeeze when memes squeezed. And then at a later time, Bed Bath & Beyond as well had quite the squeeze higher to the upside until Ryan Cohen eventually exited his position, and we've been in this downtrend ever since. I wouldn't touch Bed Bath & Beyond at this point. I think that is pretty much over at this point, so you got to focus on either GameStop or AMC. And then as a little bonus at the end, I'm going to cover a few individual stocks that people have requested in previous videos on comments, so stay tuned for that, and let's get into the analysis now. Looking at the longer term chart here for GameStop, you can see there's a lot of interesting price levels to take note of. So like way back here in 2014 to 2015, that $12 range was acting as resistance, and we pushed down lower over time, of course, but eventually we did have that push to the upside. As you can see here on GameStop back in January of 2021, we first broke out around that 10 to 11. So we pushed to the upside, flagged, and then we had that launch to the upside where we eventually topped out. Came all the way back down after Robinhood and all the other brokerages limited buying the shares of the stock. We found support around that $10 to $11 range. Couldn't quite break below, and then we had another really hard push to the upside, and all the memes ran on that second go. Now, this is your trigger level where I'm looking at, $10 to $11 is the trigger point where I think GameStop will eventually get down to that level. Price likes to move very quickly between $10 to $19, where we found support here twice before. And then finally, we've broken below it. Another interesting note here is with the 200 weekly moving average, we finally did break below that level as well. So I do think GameStop will bleed out towards that $10 to $11 range, which was where you want to go long, around that price target. Now, AMC might spoil that setup if it gets down to this 320, 330 level where it found support before. So memes like to move together, and if AMC sells to that 320 to 330 level, it might start either basing around that level, which would be a good thing, so then GameStop can get down to that 10 to 11 range, or it might start pushing to the upside. If it starts pushing to the upside, GameStop might not get to that $10 to $11 range until a later date. So GameStop moves with AMC, so that's something to look out for as well. You could play AMC here if it does get to that level. That's a good technical level to go long. Or like I said, you can play GameStop when it gets to 10 to 11. Now, covering a few other stocks, Amazon's an interesting one. This is actually trading at its COVID's lows, and it's trying to break below that. If that does break below, we could potentially trade all the way down to the 65 level. I don't think this is going to happen right away. It's probably going to take some time. I think Amazon, depending on where the market goes in the next month or so, as well as we have a lot of tech earnings coming up in middle to late January, early February. So a lot of movement here is probably going to be mostly due to what its earnings release is for Q1. Looking at Geo, this was requested by someone in the comments. If you are interested in any stocks, feel free to drop the ticker and I can cover it in the next video. Geo has been beaten down. This is a REIT, so real estate investment trust, and it invests in like private prisons, mental health institutions, not only in North America, but other countries as well. This is kind of a recession play where a lot of people will buy prison stocks, assuming that during recession, crime will increase and a lot more investments into these types of facilities. So I do think, if I'm looking here on the daily chart, it's been in this huge downtrend. It has broken out. So if you see here, it did break out and has pushed to the upside, as well as the 200-day the 50-day has crossed the 200-day to the upside, so it's likely that this was probably the local bottom around that 530. So for a long-term share play, I think this is a good position. I probably wouldn't touch it with options currently, because if you look at the weekly moving average, it is trying to push above. Now, if it does push above, you could have a long position here and then use the 200-day as a short stop loss. So if it breaks back down below the 200 weekly moving average, then you can just stop out of the position. I do think that is a decent play. So that's it for Geo. I would buy this stock if you just want to play like a share play, but like I said, I'm kind of interested, where it moves in this range. If it pushes to the upside, that's a pretty strong indicator to go long, and then if might take another trip back down here to 981. Would really like to see how this moves with the overall market. PG, this is an interesting one. So Procter & Gamble, it is a defensive stock. A lot of people like to buy these types of companies like Costco, Procter & Gamble, J&J, just like consumer staples. But PG likes to move a lot and it likes to swing. So you'll see like this really long down swing to the support level here at 129, and then it pushes back up, has another really hard push to the downside, finds support at that level, and it's had this roughly 30% rally to the upside. It kind of forming a little double top here. If it does break below this range, so this range and this range here, this is around like 149 to 150. If it does break below that, that's a pretty good short setup to see another push lower, maybe to the 200-day, or even all the way back down to 129, because like I said, this stock likes to swing. It likes to trend once it starts making that move. So if this is the top here, I wouldn't be surprised to see a move back down to 130. You can make a really nice profit there. Another interesting one is Alibaba. I do actually like this company, although it is an ADR, so there is some risk to it if they ever decide to do a delisting for these Chinese companies. But you can see here it's been chopping under the 200-day. I do think that it'll probably push to the downside again, but I think for a long-term share play, if you're not worried about them getting delisted, I think Baba is a great company. They also do a lot in the cloud. It's kind of trading for really low multiples currently. I think it's a good buy. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you guys join the Discord. The link's in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.